Hi, my name's Jay Reale. I live in San Clemente, California, and I am the rugged, fiery, adventurous personality that you need for this project. Take a look. Whether it be cycling, or whether it be surfing, or how about snowboarding? My connection with weather started back when I was about 16 years old. I started bodyboarding and surfing back then, and I quickly figured out that the best way to predict a good surf is to know the weather. Now this was around 1980, so there was no internet back then, so I relied on my weather radio. You know, where some kids would sit in bed at night, fall asleep to the sound of the latest tunes. I had my little weather radio sitting next to the bed. And I would listen to every warning, every forecast, every 6 hours, so I would know what was going on with the surf. And my friends would call me to ask me what the surf was going to do. I was so interested in the weather that I used to actually keep logs when hurricanes or tropical systems would come through my area. I grew up in Ocean City, Maryland. So I studied earth science in college, and I got a teaching degree because I wanted to have the summers off so I could surf, and I wanted to know how to predict when the storms were coming so I knew what the weather was going to do. So I got a degree to teach high school earth science. And in my final semester of college, I student taught. Here's some footage of that. Back in my college days, teaching a unit on meteorology to high school kids. What a challenge. Mid-latitude cyclone, number 3. Has a cold front and a warm. Now back in the late 80s and early 90s, I was a pro bodyboarder, and I got to do a lot of TV work. Here's one example where I hosted a TV show called Launch. The North Shore of Oahu, the hallowed hollows of the Bonsai Pipeline. Every winter, bodyboarders gather from around the globe, from every corner of the earth, to compete in the Morey World Bodyboarding Championships. This is the 14th year of this event, and there's some sick action happening on the North Shore. How you doing, folks? My name is Jay Reale. I'm a professional bodyboarder, and doggone it, I'm from Maryland, also known as the Free State. This is H3O's Launch Television, and I'm going to be here with you for the next half an hour to introduce everything you see on your screen. Folks, hold on to your seats, please. Take your nausea medication, because we're going to get ready to launch. And may the best man win. And if the best man can't win, then let me win. Even now to this day, I live in Southern California. I'm a bit of a weather guru because I love to snowboard, I love to surf, and obviously all of that is based on the weather. And I have tons of TV experience. Here's a few clips of some work that I've done on ESPN, Prime Ticket, and some other places. Enjoy.
Walk in Atlantic City, New Jersey for the Body Club Atlantic City Pro. Hi, I'm Peter Townend, and joining me today, usually our man on the beach, Jay Reale. He'll be up here today talking to us about the East Coast. Now, Jay, you're from the East Coast. It's actually just down the road here in Ocean City, Maryland, and this is our first ever stop. What do we call this, the Northeast?
That's right. Well, actually, we're in the Northeast, the Mid-Atlantic region, and it's good to be here. Normally, we go to Florida, and we will be there at our next event, but the wave's usually colder and sometimes bigger, but today it's not the case. But Atlantic City is a colorful town, and we'll see some colorful surfing today.
Well, this is the 9th stop on the Bud Tour, and I'm calling this the home stretch. I mean, down here, we're on the East Coast now. We've got 2 events over here, and then we go to the championship in San Francisco. Who's looking good so far out here on the East Coast?
Well, PT, we're coming into the final 3 events on the tour right now, and it's really tight. Still in the event here today, Shane BESCHEN looking really good. Also, points leader Mike Parsons doing very well. And something of note is that Matt ARCHBOLD now out of the competition. That's going to make things really tight going into Sebastian Inlet next weekend. So the points race shaping up real tight, and the semifinals are going to be great.
Well, we've got a beautiful day here in Atlantic City.
Flying for this, the 1994 Morey Boogie World Bodyboarding Championship. I'm Todd Harris. Joining me is professional bodyboarder Jay Reale. And Jay, we come to the Bonsai Pipeline. We expect big surf, but have you ever seen it this big?
Well, Todd, I was out there earlier today in the heat, and I would have to best describe it as a deadly gauntlet out there for the inexperienced. Fortunately, all of our competitors here today are very experienced, and the waves, they're going to need that experience to handle these conditions. 10 to 12 foot, occasional 15-foot sets coming in. Mostly out of the west, but occasionally out of the north, and those are the deadly ones. You want to stay out of the way of those, pick up the west ones, and we do have light wind conditions making for very glassy waves here, so some radical action in these type of waves.
With big surf like this at the Morey Boogie, we always have some perennial favorites as well as some dark horses in this competition. Jay, who do we look for this year?
This year's no exception. We do have those perennial favorites. Of course, Mike Stewart, 8-time world champion. He lost the title last year. He's very hungry, and he's at home in these big conditions, as is Kainoa McGee, who's also alive. Mike Eppelston, last year's champion. He's someone to look out for. And two underground guys, Paul Tarpley here from Hawaii, and from Tahiti, Matt Walbro. And let's not forget Guilherme Tamega from Brazil. We've seen him knock at the door the past few years, so could be his year.
After a short break, our competition will continue with a look at some quarterfinal action. The Morey Bodyboard World Championship on ESPN.
Okay, now it's time to go down to the beach to check the surf conditions with Jay Reale.
Thanks a lot, guys. Well, let's take a look at the conditions here today at Malibu. It's a good news, bad news kind of thing. The good news, we finally have some surf for a Bud Tour event. It's about 2 to 4 foot on the face of the waves. The bad news, the tide's going out, and the swell isn't exactly from the optimum direction, so it's kind of closing out a bit here for the surfers. Light winds today, that's not really a factor. It's a cool day on the beach, about 70 right now. Should burn off to a sunny afternoon, and the water 70 degrees, very balmy here for Southern California. A great day in store. Back to you guys.
Okay, thanks, Jay. Jay Reale spoke with him after his win.
Mike Stewart, the victor here today, in some pretty incredible conditions. I know you were loving it out there. Talk about the waves in the final.
Yeah, it was as good as you can ask for, about 4 to 6 feet and really hollow. Ideal bodyboarding conditions.
An increase in international competitors out there. Does that up the ante? Does that make the level of competition even higher for you guys?
Yeah, it's a lot more competitive and gives me something to shoot for. I'm really stoked we got international guys over here. Because I really like to compete on that level.
All right, well, state-of-the-art performance from 8-time world champion Mike Stewart. Great performance today, Mike.
Thanks, Jay.
And back to you guys.
So in conclusion, I am the man for the job. I'm a huge fan of the Weather Channel from back in the day when I lived in Maryland. We used to know the names of all the on-camera meteorologists, and now I spend way too much time on the internet checking the weather forecasts, reports, and the scientific discussions so I can learn more all the time. So I'm really, really into this. Hope to hear from you soon. Thanks.